TIFU by marrying a girl and giving up on my aspirations. Obligatory throwaway account. Threads in the past days encouraged to share my story. About 26 years ago, I met this beautiful girl in my hometown. She was a brilliant, intelligent girl, with great talent in art, but she was living in an abusive family with 3 terrible siblings. As a result, she suffered from severe depression and other mental issues. A minor but noticeable handicap in her hands made things even worse, as she was being bullied in school because of it. I was myself a talented young man, studying art and theater. I loved her very much, and she was, in a way, alone in this world. I was too, for other reasons, and so I decided to stay with her, even though the relationship was never really pleasant or fun, leaving aside the first years together. Her difficult character, her mental problems, and our social and financial background. We came from one of the poorest areas of Chile. I was stabbed twice in my life during 2 different robberies. Made everything so painful and so complicated. At some point, due to our financial difficulties, I had to find a job and leave school and the art projects I was working on. With great pain, as I was starting to become known in my country, and I still have newspaper clippings from the time, as she was unable to cope with a routine job due to her mental issues. She had been in therapy for years. At this point, through the help of a relative, I found work in a small local company, where I worked mostly on accounting. It was a true nightmare for me to shift from acting and working on a stage to work on Excel sheets and websites for a living. There was nothing bad in the job per se, but I felt it killing my soul, little by little. My dad, who was my only friend in this world and that I got to know later in life. He had been in prison for 20 years. But to me, he was the kindest person he could have ever been. Died soon after, and I was left to fend for myself and for her. 22 years have passed now. Little by little, while she is still not 100% okay and she will always need professional help for her health issues, she managed to become a prominent painter and fashion designer in our country. I cannot say more than this because it would be easy to find out who she is. Myself, I just lost these years working in accounting, and I am reduced to a shell of my former self. It was not her fault. It was my fault, for being unable to cultivate my skills for all these years and to make space for them alongside my routine job. On top of all this, in the past 10 years, she slowly became abusive over me. She needs constant help and ideas for her work, and she keeps asking me for support. At times, I must help her solve creative problems as well. When I tell her I would like to have my own space, to do my own things, especially now that we finally have some money, she loses her mind and threatens to do terrible things. So here I am, 50 years old, having lost all my life for nothing out of some misplaced sense of pity and love. I am lost and I have nobody in the world to talk to that understands. Sometimes I walk in the park just to talk with cats. I am in therapy, and the therapist recommended me to leave her and find my way. But at 50, this seems futile. I am tired. I wanted to share this for all those that were gifted with empathy and kindness. Even if you love someone, first think about finding your own way. Maybe people that have a more generous heart than mine, at some point of a life like mine, would accept their situation. I have never been able to. The past 24 years have been only pain and suffering for me. Do not let the world bend you into what you are not, into what you do not want to be. Otherwise, you might end up old and empty, with nobody to save you. I am not even bitter, thankfully, just very tired, and nothing makes sense anymore. TLDR married an unfortunate girl whom I really loved. Had to sacrifice myself to keep us afloat. And 26 years later I am defeated and lost for giving up all my aspirations in the process. The theater is still there, young man. Can you start doing community theater or teach art? I went to school for art when I was young but got pregnant and had to drop out. I work in accounting now but I volunteer teaching art. I'm sorry man. But let's start here. 50 does not equal your life being over. Many people reinvent themselves in their 50s or 60s. I'm 40 and just started law school last semester. And there are many people in my program that are much older than me. It's not too late, bud. Start chasing your dreams. What's one thing you can do tomorrow that will start working you towards your dreams? Sometimes we stay in relationships like this for so long because we view the time we spent in sacrifices we made as an investment. However good or bad the relationship set you in a direction and it's hard to convince yourself to change course after all the resources spent going so far in that direction. That concept of investment is not real. Your sacrifices are not adding up nor appreciating over time. The good thing about that is any time is as good as any to leave. I'm not suggesting you leave necessarily, but I encourage you to ask yourself, what would it look like if I leave? And maybe just spend some time thinking about that. Christoph Waltz was 51 when he got his break. Life doesn't end until it ends. This depressed me and made me happy I didn't not marry my high school sweetheart. I've got nothing but thoughts for you. I hope sharing this was cathartic for you and that the act of writing it out brings you some comfort. Gracias por el consejo. Pero a los 50 años no se es viejo. La vida es ahora. Cuando tengas 60 te preguntarás. ¿Por qué no me desearon en lo mío cuando tuve la oportunidad hace 10 años? Yo sé que algunas comunas están desarrollando teatro participativo que necesitan actores para obras comunitarias. Y muchas veces estos mismos actores tienen una formación reciente dada por el mismo municipio. Si te llama hacer algo, hazlo. Fíjate en el presente y en lo que puedes hacer hoy. In all honesty, it doesn't sound like you were with this woman because you loved her but more because you pitied her. Whatever you feel for her has grown over the 26 years because you had to make yourself feel love. For her to justify losing your dreams for her. It seems like it's time to leave her and finally allow yourself time to live. Let yourself regain some joy and energy and be apart from the abusive woman who had used you and stolen your life to achieve her dreams. I think you should listen to the therapist, at least create some distance for yourself. You are carrying a tremendous amount of regret and the unfortunate, unavoidable reality of life is that we all die. You only get one chance to live your life on this planet and you have to make room for yourself and your aspirations. Start pursuing your passions again. And reconsider what it is you want from life right now. Then strive for it. Henri Rousseau didn't start painting till he was 41 and he worked for the government collecting taxes for the first half of his life. It took him about 8 to 9 years to find his style of painting and become a world-famous painter. It's not too late to follow a passion. As for your wife, that's something that you have to think about and figure out what you can do to make the situation better. Art is never age restricted. Lots of people discover, or get discovered for, their talent late in life. Here's a good little list. https www.google.com/amp/s/news.artnet.com/art-world/never-207966/amp-page. Bail. Homie. She's a grown woman. You are a grown man. If the life is not worth being there for, find a life that is worth living. What struck me when I read your post is how your wife treated you. You stated that she has been abusive to you. This is wrong. Nothing justifies abusing another person. I suppose I have an unusual perspective among the commenters. As I have also experienced severe abuse and childhood trauma, I will also never be normal or okay. It's just part of what I experience as an adult. I do the best I can do with therapy and all that. That being said, I would never consider harming a so or requiring them to sacrifice their dreams for me. That wouldn't make any sense. I would want my so to be happy and fulfilled, doing whatever it is that makes them happy. I don't understand how someone would want to harm their so or expect sacrifices from them due to their own trauma and missed opportunities. It's not your job to fix your so. You're not the one who abused her. She, and she alone, can be the only person to deal with her trauma. It's not her fault that she was traumatized and abused. Unfortunately, it's her responsibility as an adult to deal with it. If she's using you as a crutch to cope with her abuse, which it sounds like she is, then this isn't serving your needs or hers. If she's willing to go get help and address her patterns of bad behavior and take responsibility for the ways in which she is harming you, then you may be able to remain in the relationship. But if she's not willing to address her own actions and behaviors as an adult, then you owe her nothing. Some of us who survive trauma choose to take responsibility for ourselves and do what we can to improve our lives. Others who experience trauma never really get to a place where they are addressing things. They simply look to others for answers. This leads to unhealthy codependent behaviors. And it's what happens when the abuse cycle is repeated. It takes work to stop that cycle. And it sounds like your wife unfortunately has perpetuated the abuse cycle instead of trying to end it. I heard a quote yesterday that really resonated with me. As long as you're breathing, there's still time to heal. I think your therapist has the right idea up. And I think that once you do walk out that door, you'll wish you had done it sooner. You saw her through treatment and now you are being abused. For once, realize you do matter and do what's important to you. Keep us posted. You can still leave her. My dad divorced my mom at 50. And he have found love again, he met people, he made himself a better new life. Sometimes I feel like dreams grow old with you. Kind of like a tree. You climb all over it when you're a boy. But as you get older you find dead or unsafe branches on the tree, and you're more fragile too if you fall. But what's the point in being an artist if you're unwilling to climb a tree at 50? I published my first book on my 48th birthday. Before then, everything I did was always for someone else. That includes years and years with an abusive woman. I could say those years were wasted. But I took all the pieces of hurt I had been a part of creating and found a way to be creative with them. Not one person around me truly believed in what I was doing when I started to write my book. Quite the opposite. Everyone said I shouldn't do it, or it would be better if I waited. But I didn't listen to them. I pushed on. And pretty soon people started telling me how much they liked what I was writing, or asking when they could get the next book. In the end, what I accomplished and created is all mine. I did it. And while I had help at various stages, no one ever helped me take any of the steps that made it possible. So, whatever your difficulties are, and whenever you decide to follow your dreams, they'll be there waiting. Don't ever stop dreaming, but do start living. Time for a talk. Let her know you are now devoting yourself to art. Since she's successful, she's now paying the bills. If you divorce, you divorce. Don't let yourself lose another day. Just because you've wasted so much time on this person, it doesn't mean you have to die unhappy. Read The Moon and Sixpence. It will clarify your path. 50 is still very, very young. Think about it. Do you want to spend the rest of your life being unhappy and regret it on your deathbed? Life is short. Don't waste it away like that. It's never too late to chase your dreams and be happy. You deserve it. 50 is younger than you think. Emo.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Aspirations is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.